Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Image Builder Office Hours. It's the 27th of January, 2025. We do this every 2 weeks. We're a sub-project of SIG Cluster Lifecycle, so we abide by the Kubernetes Community Rules of Conduct, which I'm sure you know basically boils down to let's make this a happy, welcoming place. Try and use the raise hand feature in Zoom, although it's probably not strictly necessary with just the four of us. Um, that's it. Uh, and then we didn't have big items on the agenda, but we hadn't checked in a while, so we thought we would do so. Take it away, somebody.
Yeah, just kind of a quick check-in, really, isn't it? I guess the first one is about the PR. I'm just trying to open up the repo now and have a look.
The
Which
yeah, the
PR?
PR
The
in the
the
big
one in
thread.
the yeah. There's just I just saw a note in the it says PR status.
Is it this one?
Is it Sehi? Is it that one? Which one is it you wanted to talk about?
Oh yeah. Sorry,
Mine per yeah, sorry. Hi
Yeah,
everyone.
sorry, yeah.
Yeah, that's that one exactly.
this one here.
Yeah, this is the compilation basically of three changes that lying around in different places. So I did a co-author there and fixed some issues with three of them basically. And it seemed to work okay. So I was wondering, can we land that or do I need to do something else?
I thought it looked pretty good, and thank you very much for dredging this all up and getting it working.
Yeah.
Then I just got confused because the original, because Max Rink, who had that PR that kind of went stale, then jumped up and
Yeah, I asked him to maybe cut out the raw target out of it because it has conflicts in different places. But he did, yeah. But it feels like it's like very fastly done because you have FE target there, and it differs significantly from the regular non-FE target and some JSON issues. So I just figured out I can just do like compilation of three of them, just test it out and just make it happen without pinging a lot of people.
makes sense to me. I just didn't want to, he was here first is the one perspective, and then they updated the PR. But it sounds like yours is
Yeah, I
basically
mean
supersedes it and improves on it.
he's co-author in my pair, so it's
Okay.
basically like three people there merging. So in terms of legal stuff or whatever, like contributions, he's still there.
Yeah. Okay. Um, that's fine. I was just confused about whether they overlap that much, but it sounds like this is the one to go with. And I don't have a way to test it directly, unfortunately, but it looked good to me, so I guess
I
I'll
only
kick it.
can test non-FE. I mean, sometimes FE being a bit builds a bit flackier than regular-ish image, but for regular image, it's works fine basically in the place that I had tested before.
Okay. I mean, unfortunately, that's kind of where we're at with the project is, you know, uh, trusting that things build and we can't test everything in every environment or in very many at this point. But that sounds great. I'm good with this. So Marcus or Drew, if you have time to look at it, seems like we should merge this and we can maybe rebase or close the other one.
Yep, I'm happy with it. If you like, I can approve it now and take the hold off it.
There was only one thing I was going to drop a comment on, and it's really minor in the scheme of things. But if you look on the 2204.efi user data template, there's a comment within the disk formatting, the disk section. If you go down a little bit further, just there on line 49. I've seen it could have been an indentation issue, but I have seen comments break the disk formatting in the past. It could have been an indentation issue, but it's also got the wrong Ubuntu version in it. So I'm just thinking, should we just remove that? Just for the sake
Yeah,
of
sure.
sanity, if
Can
that's
you
okay.
Yeah, can you please add the text somewhere in there? So
Yeah, I'll drop a comment on it for you now.
I can do it since I'm already there on your behalf.
Okay, yeah, sure. I was
Yeah.
starting a review, but yeah, go ahead. But I don't think anything else is standing out as a major issue for me.
Okay. Great. Cool.
Yep, everything else looks good though. That's literally the only thing I'd say that caught my eye.
Thanks for coming to office hours and bringing this up. Hopefully that's not the level of effort necessary in general to get your PR merged, but
Yeah. Sorry, I saw you tag me at that, but I didn't even see the notification in GitHub, so I must have accidentally cleared it with a bunch of other ones. So apologies
yeah.
for that, Matt.
It happens.
No, no
I get so
problem.
many of them. It's just impossible to follow up on all of them. It's
I tried like in early days to follow up the tags and the issues and all of that GitHub provides, like the notifications, all of that. I just stopped because it's insanely impossible to do.
Yeah.
it's overwhelming.
This is it. In my organization, I have 105 repos and I get notifications about every single code QL that gets done at the moment. And it's just like, wow. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'm starting to lose track.
Yeah, and then you have all the bots and the add-on
Exactly. Yeah.
GitHub jobs, and each one of those wants to send a separate email, and so yeah. Anyway, okay, cool.
Okay.
Do we have anything else we want to talk about? Sounds like that one thread in Slack was kind of eye-opening. It was for me about
Yeah.
I'd like to give just like a summary of it. I don't think it's worth going into too much detail now because I think it is all in the thread. But basically, someone raised the concern or the issue that when building Proxmox images from within Kubernetes, for example, so within a CI pipeline or whatever. I think in this example, it's from like a self-hosted GitHub runner. The way that Packer works with the Proxmox provider in Image Builder is it needs to perform a HTTP request back to Proxmox. No, not Proxmox, sorry, back to Packer to retrieve the user data when setting up, when initializing the new instance to then install everything and run Ansible and stuff. What was really confusing is I couldn't understand myself why this was a problem for Proxmox, sorry, because I've successfully ran other providers in a Kubernetes environment that I know don't have ingress from cloud providers and stuff. So I was there was a lot of like back and forth and digging into this to figure out what was going on here. Christian, I believe, pointed out yesterday about the VMware provider for Packer, the way that handles the initialization of user data is it first boots the machine in VMware using a base ISO, so Ubuntu Live server, whatever, and then mounts mounts some files as a CD-ROM on that same instance and uses those files on the virtual CD-ROM as the user data that then boots things like installing SSH server that can then be used by Ansible and stuff and take over from there. With that discovery, that is probably the way that we should also go with Proxmox as well, because having it call back to whatever is running Packer is not great in my opinion. Just for the simple example of running this within a CI environment is then not possible without manual intervention. Like you need to have some sort of ingress and stuff that would allow that back channel and all this kind of stuff. So I'm waiting for the initial person to have a look at these latest messages to see if they can try out using the CD-ROM approach with Proxmox. I think it should be relatively easy to implement. I think it's just like a couple values you need to provide when running the in the Packer vars. If that works, then we should probably change that to either default and maybe have a look at some of the other providers as well, just to make sure none of those are also using the HTTP approach, because I don't think that's a good approach. It's the default with Packer, but I don't think that's a good approach for Image Builder, because we say that our supported way of running this is within the Image Builder container, which then adds that layer of complexity as to you then have another network connectivity you have to deal with and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of the summary of that thread. It's still ongoing, as I said. Let's see where that goes, but I think it will be a case of hopefully just setting some new values in the Proxmox Ubuntu vars to do the same as we do with VMware. I did check this morning that Proxmox does support this approach, and it's in the documentation showing this example basically. So should be straightforward, but I don't know for certain.
Yeah. That's great though. So hopefully it ends up being like a docs change or something rather than what.
Well, hopefully it should just be a change in our default variables for Proxmox so that it uses the CD-ROM approach rather than the HTTP approach. So it'll then just work in theory. Let's see. But I learned I find out that every time I learn something new about how Image Builder or Packer works, I realize just how little I actually understand of the whole thing. Like I get to a point where I think I'm starting to understand this, and then something like this comes along and I was like, oh no, I didn't understand how this works at all.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, but it was quite it's an interesting thread if you have time to go through it. Like it was some eye-opening points in it that as I haven't used Packer in anger in any kind of way, it was good to kind of learn this stuff. So yeah,
cool. It's a good summary. Thank you. As for Packer itself, dude, I don't know. I mean, we still keep bringing it up internally at Microsoft and mumbling about, oh, what are we going to do? But there's really we still don't really have a replacement on the horizon. Or
it's a tough
solution.
one, yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a tough one.
At this point, all I can hope is that Image Builder, the repository, could still be a place where when people figure out what they're going to do in the long term, they could contribute whatever they can back to it.
Yeah.
But some of the best ideas, one of the better ideas, I think I put the issue in for this, we talked about last time actually, was maybe at least the Ansible scripts, which represent most of the intellectual property value of what we've done in Image Builder, could be repurposed and used outside of Packer. It would still be a lot of fiddly shell setup and something, and you'd have to get a VM running on your own, obviously, and all that, but that stuff's kind of solvable. And so maybe there's some way to continue running the Ansible scripts, but ignore Packer. Just an idea at this point.
It does spit out the Ansible shell, Ansible command that it runs as part of the build anyway, doesn't it? So I guess we could.
Yeah, if you could just get inside
maybe get
VM
that out and
a similar context.
I mean, all you need is the VM to run it, don't you? So yeah I guess if we have to get rid of Packer altogether, do we leave it to the users to create their own VM and just supply the Ansible? I guess is the question, isn't it?
I wonder if we can. I'm thinking on the fly here, so let's see how this goes. I'm wondering if we can come up with maybe some real bare bones base images that have the Ansible stuff ready to run for example, Ubuntu, whatever. And then supply them as like an ISO or something that can then be imported into all the different providers. That can then basically just run a startup script with the configuration. I don't know how much feasibility.
I mean, I guess it's just where we store those images, though, isn't it?
I mean, the beauty of Ansible is that the machine you're configuring literally only needs to have SSH, right? So, I mean, as a very first baby step, we could consider writing some documentation about once you have a VM running, here's a command line, or here's how you could run these Ansible scripts on your own. And then we have kind of an out for people who can't use Packer, and maybe that grows into some set of scripts that facilitate creating the VM and facilitate saving it and publishing and things. And then we're halfway to what Packer did for us.
So on that note, I do actually have some crude documentation on this already, purely because I needed to essentially use everything in Image Builder except the Kubernetes bit to build some stuff in OpenStack for my workplace. So I could then add some specific GPU drivers and Slurm things and stuff like that. So I forked Image Builder, pulled out the bits for Kubernetes and added in the Slurm bits. And then a couple of the developers didn't want to use the make files because they said they were too complex, which I don't agree with at all. I think they're absolutely fine now. I understand how they're put together. They are complex. So I did end up writing them the Ansible commands to run. So if I can try and, I mean, I've only got it for OpenStack, but I guess it's a starting point, maybe something we can work with. Let me have a think if something I can throw out there.
You mentioned that you have something already for OpenStack. So basically, one could use Ubuntu flavored Cloud Init and just point to Ansible pull URL for Ansible. I mean, it can be hosted in repository, like directly from the repository of Image Builder, and that's all you need actually. For cloud providers, I mean, for copies that can leverage Cloud Init with some like no data or whatever target. This is all you need. You actually don't need to build the image.
Yep. I guess the only thing that really comes into it is all the variables that currently get passed in from Packer. So it's a case of how do people supply that sort of stuff. Like, that's obviously something to consider. Maybe I don't know, maybe there can be a group vars or something that people have to add themselves, like they would a Packer JSON file. Yeah, maybe something around that. Something to think about, I guess. I'll see what I can pull together from the crude documentation, like I say, that I wrote for the other member of staff that works with me on this project from our side, and see if I can adapt it for Image Builder, because we don't have anywhere near as much stuff in it as the Kubernetes Image Builder one, so it really is stripped down. But even still, the theory should apply.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd feel a lot better if we were like, well, if you can get a VM running, you can still run the Ansible scripts. And, it seems like maybe it's our only way out at this point. There's not going to be a replacement for Packer, and it's not going to get relicensed.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, if we have this already, at some point we will have something that we can just Ansible pull or whatever, and everything is configured. Replacing Packer wouldn't be much of a problem. I mean, you need to spin up a VM, libvirt or whatever, and what do you need? Cloud Init data source. That's all, basically. And you can just take out the image out of libvirt, KEM, or whatever virtualization you would do.
Okay, well, we'll see what we can come up with then. It's not going to be an overnight job, obviously, but yeah, it's definitely worth looking into again. Because like I said, I don't think anything's going to change with the Pack side of things, and we are getting dangerously out of date now. So
yeah, it's November 2023 was when was our vintage now. Yeah, that's a little old. Cool. Anything else you want to talk about?
Nothing from my side.
All right. Well,
I'm going to have to shoot anyway because I've got to go pick my daughter up. So
got to pick your daughter up.
Cool. Okie doke. Speak to you soon, everyone. Take care.
In a couple weeks.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.